Thank you so much for joining this evening to learn how you can save money when you electrify your ride. My name is Annika Osborne. I'm with Cool the Earth, an environmental nonprofit with a mission to reduce carbon emissions and air pollution. While we are big fans of walking, biking, public transit, and carpooling, especially in an electric car, with our Ride and Drive Clean collaboration, we work to advance a rapid and equitable transition to electric transportation. I'd like to thank our partner Cartelligent for joining us this evening, and to City of Palo Alto Utilities for their sponsorship of our summer discount campaign. So here's the agenda for the webinar. In the first half, we're going to be focusing on the EV discount campaign, the cars that are included, and the discounts. Then we'll do a Q&A. And then at the end, after that, we'll talk a little bit more about general incentives and other ways that you can save money with an EV. We'll talk a little bit more about our organization and what we do, and we'll have a more general Q&A at the end. We're going to be going over lots of information, but not to worry, we'll be sending a PDF of this presentation in our follow-up email with some useful links, especially to the EV discount campaign. But anyway, if any questions come up during this webinar, please feel free to unmute. We're a small group, pretty casual here. Feel free to unmute and ask a question, or you could throw a question in the chat if you would like. We'll answer these questions throughout the presentation and during our Q&A times. So I'm happy to be joined by my teammate, Scott Wolfman, who will be answering questions in the chat. And maybe adding the link to the EV discount campaign. Maybe you've already done that. And Jessica from Cartelligent. Is Ollie joining us as well?
He's here too. Ollie,
Okay.
You want to say hi?
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Ollie. Thanks for joining. So they're both from Cartelligent. That's our partner who we are working with in order to offer this discount campaign. They'll be covering the vehicles and the discounts and such. Launched in 2019, Ride and Drive Clean is a collaboration of nonprofit organizations, agencies, utilities, and CCAs, cities, counties, schools, and businesses with the goal of greatly reducing carbon emissions by advancing the adoption of electric vehicles. We're very happy to help you make your next car an EV. That's our job. We realized early on that one of the biggest barriers to going electric is that initial cost of buying or leasing an EV. So we teamed up with Cartelligent, a highly regarded car concierge service for EV discount campaigns. Since they work with multiple dealerships, they're able to negotiate special pricing on certain models at certain times, and that's when we run our campaigns. With Cartelligent, we've helped hundreds of people save thousands of dollars on EVs over the past 4 years. I'm really excited about the EVs that are currently being offered this month. We have 2 fully electric BEVs, we call them, and 2 PHEVs, plug-in hybrids. And just want to note that in 2024, the average price of a new car is $48,000. And with the incentives available on this campaign and additional incentives available, all of these models are coming in at a really, really good price. Plus, all of these EVs are really fun to drive. At this point, I'll turn it over to Jessica from Cartelligent. Take it away.
Thanks, Annika. So we're Cartelligent. This is all we do. We've been helping people buy or lease new cars since 2000. So 24 years, we're pretty good at it. We do help people with regular traditional gas cars as well as EVs and PHEVs. But through our partnership with Ride and Drive Clean, we've gone from maybe 10% EV PHEV in 2019 to over 30% EV and PHEV now. So we are very, very good at all of these cars. And the other thing that we can do, I think that the decision to go EV, especially for the first time, can be confusing. And so having a real person that walks you through everything and says, let's compare these cars, let's figure out what you want, let's figure out what's important, and does all the work for you. I feel like that level of hand-holding and just, somebody on your side is valuable in any car transaction, but especially if you're looking at an EV for the first time. And the other thing we can do is we can help with your trade and lease return, make sure you get a good value on that. So we just make sure that extremely easy for you to get a great price on any car. We do normally charge a service fee. So we normally charge $595 for our service. In this case, we're waiving the service fee if you're getting one of the cars that's included in the campaign. If you're getting a car that's not included in the campaign, we would still love to help you. And because you're coming through Ride and Drive Clean, as long as you get an EV or a PHEV, we'll reduce our service fee from $595 to $495. So we're going to take great care of you no matter what, whether you want one of the cars on the list or not one of the cars on the list. With that said, let's look at the cars. So again, we've been doing this program for about 5 years. We're really excited that we've been able to do it more this year specifically. EVs, I'm not just saying this because I'm on this webinar. I would tell you this if you were just like somebody I was talking to. EVs are the best value in cars today. They're great because of the environmental factors. They're great because of the reducing greenhouse gases. All of that stuff is amazing. But if you're also just looking for a value, leasing an EV is easily one of the most financially cost-effective decisions you can make. And we'll get into that a little bit more. You want to keep going? All right, so first car on the list is a PHEV. For somebody who doesn't know, the difference between an EV and a PHEV is this. Pure EVs, you're always on electricity all the time. PHEV, you've got a gas engine and an electric engine. So there's basically two ways to drive. So what's great about like something like the Q5e or the RAV4 Prime is if you're just driving your normal life, you can do almost 90% of your drive. Most people, I don't know what your normal life looks like. Most people can do 90% of their normal driving in 100% electric mode, which makes it really easy to not have to use gas. But the nice thing about these PHEVs is that if you have something that you're doing that's a little bit longer, like a road trip or something like that, you get a little bit more flexibility because you do have that option to top it off with gas. The other great thing about PHEVs is that, especially these ones, they still qualify for that federal tax, $7,500 federal tax rebate on a lease. And in this case, there's a $3,750 purchase rebate. So they can be a really great value. You see this car, which is a luxury car, starts at $45,300. But by the time you put in all of the, and just one thing, the purchase rebate does have income limits. Leasing does not have income limits. So that's a nice thing too. You can still take advantage of that no matter what your income level is. So anyway, really nice car. We've been seeing great inventory on this. This is a really popular car and a great alternative to a lot of the gas luxury cars. You want to go into the next one? Hyundai Ioniq 5 is hands down one of our top sellers. It's one of the best leases on the market today. I saw an article the other day about how the Hyundai Ioniq 5 is like just one of the best priced cars out there. And we're getting even better savings on this. So $2,000 off MSRP. Look at those lease rebates. Those are depending on trim, but those are huge. And then also a cash and finance rebate on this one. My brother drives this car. He got it a few months ago. He's got a 16-year-old daughter who's learning to drive on this car. And he's so happy because this car has more safety features than you've ever seen. It's like driving a spaceship. And so he's very happy that his 16-year-old daughter is learning to drive on a car that's got all that safety feature and it's just that easy. So really great car, highly recommended. We sell a lot of these.
Can I just interject? One of the cool things about this car is that it also offers resiliency. So it has something called vehicle to load. It's a bidirectional battery. So if you lose your power, you can plug in an adapter and power up your refrigerator or large appliances for a week. Or if you love camping, you could do all of your cooking and cooking and everything using your EV battery. So this is pretty cool. A lot of the Hyundais and Kias have this feature, and yeah, awesome.
I always forget to talk about that, so Annika likes to mention it. RAV4 Prime is really exciting. We've never done the RAV4 Prime as part of this campaign before. I will tell you that 2 years ago, this car was going for 10,000 over MSRP, which is crazy. And this is one of those cars that stayed over MSRP up until recently. So the fact that we're getting this car under MSRP plus the lease rebate, this is a great deal. It's a great lease, and I think we actually had the first person contract. She hasn't picked up the car yet. A contract from this campaign today, which is great since we just launched it on Monday. But yeah, I think we're gonna be helping people get a lot of these cars this month because it's a really great car. Toyotas are fantastic, and this one is extremely popular.
It is. I have two friends who drive this car. They love it. It's the right size for their family, and it's great. They plug it in every day, so they're driving mostly on electricity, and then they.
I forgot to mention this is also PHEV, not pure electric, so gas and electric. Thank you, Annika.
Sure, I think it has like 42 miles electric or so you could do.
It's got a nice range.
Yeah, awesome.
And then finally, Volkswagen ID4. I mentioned before this thing started that sometimes we do limit it to trim. In this case, we are limiting it to trim, and this trim is the standard, which is the base model. I actually drive this car. I don't drive the standard. I drive a Pro, but I looked it up this afternoon to see what the differences are. The biggest difference is this one has a smaller battery and a shorter range, so it's got about a 200-mile range, and it's got a slightly smaller touchscreen. But I can tell you this car is fantastic. I went to Home Depot the other day and bought 32 bags of bark. I fit them all in my car. Everybody at Home Depot was shocked I could get them all to fit. So great storage capacity, easy to charge, and really good price on this one. This base model, this is one of the lowest priced cars out there. $39,735 is the starting MSRP on this one. So great lease on this one as well. And then finally, we've got the Mercedes-Benz e-Sprinter. It's not something that anybody's going to be taking on as a daily driver. But we also work with a number of businesses and cities. And so it's nice to have something that they can use as a work car. I don't think anybody on this webinar is looking at an e-Sprinter, but if you're looking for like a retro camping, like retrofit thing, like it could be really cool.
Oh yeah, no, I have a friend who it's actually not the EV, the electric version, but the gas version. He moves his kids to college in this car. They go road tripping. They sleep in there. It's awesome.
Just like Barry asked a good question. Just going to touch on that. Leasing a car it can be a good deal depending on your personal circumstances and how long you're going to keep the car. If you're the kind of person that keeps and holds a car for 10 years, great. You shouldn't lease. If you're the kind of person who keeps and holds a car for 10 years and you're looking at an EV, I would still lease in almost every case. You can buy out the lease. You could buy out the lease after 6 months and still be able to take advantage of the lease savings. The reason for the lease savings is the federal government is crazy, and they came up with this thing that gave incentives to get people to buy EVs, but they put all these limitations on them. Where's the battery made? Where's the car made? What's the income limits of the person who's buying the car? And so you have to hit a lot of those things in order to get that $7,500 as a normal human being. But again, because the federal government is not making sense, none of that applies if you lease. You don't get the federal credit. The leasing bank gets the federal credit, and they usually choose to pass it on to you. And so that's why the leases are such a better deal in most cases. And we help people all the time who say, hey, I don't want to lease. I want to buy, but I want to take advantage of the $7,500. And we can help them run the numbers and see what makes more sense. But we have a lot of people who are leasing with the intention of buying out their lease in a few months.
And Barry, we'll be talking more about incentives after the discount campaign. But I just wanted to say one thing that I totally agree with Jessica. Like when there are great leasing deals, there's nothing better. However, if you are taking advantage of special incentives that you get to use once, it might be to your advantage to purchase because, that's going to go down. That will be like a down payment for a lease or for a purchase. So you can only get that Clean Cars for All grant once. So in your case, if you do get that grant, it would make perhaps more sense to use it, to purchase. I just was working with a woman who leased a car with her Clean Cars for All, and then she bought the lease out, but she wasn't able to take advantage of so many incentives. It was trickier, but we can talk offline about that as well, or a little bit more at the end of this webinar. Okay, so what do you do? How do you get started? So this is the important thing. So some of you might be like, yes, I'm ready to go. Let's make this happen. So you'll want to go to our website, find the EV discount campaign. I'll show you how to do that. And once you get to this part of the form, you click yes. That is if you're ready to go and you want Cartelligent to contact you. If you just want to kind of like stay, you just kind of join this because it's kind of fun, you just want to see what this is all about, and you're not quite ready to go electric, you can click on no, but keep me informed. And then we'll send you an email right in the beginning of like anytime we have a discount campaign. So I'm actually going to go off screen here for a second. So if you go to our website, Ride and Drive Clean, you click, you see the save money. The first option is EV discount campaign. Click on that, and then you will arrive here. You can take a look at all the different cars and the details and the incentives and rebates that are available. Oh yeah. And then you keep scrolling down. This is where you sign up. So if you're not quite ready right now, if you don't want Cartelligent to call you, just click no. If you are ready to go, click yes. A few more fields open up. You'll give this information and then select the car. You might be interested in 2 or 3 cars. Maybe you haven't narrowed it down. It doesn't really matter, but maybe choose one of the ones that you're interested in here. And then you can put additional notes here as well. So if you have like a Clean Cars for All grant or whatever, this is really good information to put in here so people know. Make sure you hit that submit button. Our database will capture that. We'll talk to Cartelligent's database, and then they will get this information and they'll reach out to you. All right, so are there any questions? I see there might be some questions here. Yeah, PHEVs are plug-in hybrids, yeah.
So it looks for the 5 cars that are listed in the EV discount program. If I go with lease, then the 7,500, that's a full rebate through the leasing entity. If I go for purchase, then the most is 3,750, right?
No. It depends on the car, actually. So in this case, for our EV discount campaigns, right, the cars on our EV discount campaign, if you purchase, you can get a full 7,500 cash on the hood for the Volkswagen ID4. You can also get a 3,750 for the Audi.
And then for the other 3, zero.
Yeah, we'll be talking about incentives. Yeah, there are some requirements, as Jessica mentioned. The car has to have.
And Hyundai does have the 7,500 on purchase.
The Hyundai, it does, but not through the federal tax credit, through the dealer.
Right, that's through Hyundai.
Yeah, through Hyundai. So that one does as well. Yeah, good point.
Through the dealer, meaning it has to be a lease and not a purchase for me, right?
On the Hyundai, you can buy or lease and still get the 7,500. There's more incentives on the Hyundai if you lease. And again, our team can help you compare how those pricings are going to look and help you make an educated decision on that. So we're going to give you all the information you need.
Hey, Scott, are you still there, Scott? Okay, good. Can you drop the website, the web page in again? Alan is looking for that. Yeah, so you don't actually go to the Cartelligent website. You go to the Ride and Drive Clean. It's our website. We are a nonprofit organization trying to move people forward with EVs. And so you sign up on the Ride and Drive Clean website, and then Cartelligent will call you.
Just a couple questions in there. One question's on trade-ins. So Cartelligent will make you an offer for your trade-in. And you can either say, hey, that's great, or you can say, I'm going to sell it myself on Craigslist. No problem either way, but we can absolutely make you an offer. It's typically more than you'd get from a dealer, less than you'd get from a Craigslist selling it yourself. couple people asked about used EVs. We don't work with used cars. We only work with new cars. But Annika has another partner, Ride and Drive Clean has another partner that does help with used EVs. So somebody could put that link in the chat too.
I'll be talking all about that in the latter part of the presentation. So
there you go. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Awesome. Any other questions, especially questions for Cartelligent right now? Oh yeah, how long does the process typically take if you already know what you want?
Usually a day or two to come back to you. So let me just tell you a little bit about what we do. We're not a dealer. We don't have inventory. What we're going to do is you're going to call us and you're going to say, I want the RAV4 Prime. I want blue. I want the premium package, whatever. I don't care what you want. I mean, we do, but you're going to say, this is what I want. This is what I'm looking for. And we're going to come back with real cars at real dealerships that we can get at this price and say, hey, here's the cars that we found at real dealerships at this price. So that process takes a little bit of time. It's usually 1 to 2 days to get back to you with actual cars and actual numbers. And then when you say yes, we get the car to you. So sometimes we do cars from Southern California. So those take a couple days to get shipped up. We would only do that if that was a much better, if it was the car that you wanted and we were only able to get it in Southern California. I was going to say if it was a much better deal, which is what I usually say. In this case, it's the same deal no matter where it comes from. But typically it's going to be someday between 3 days at the tops and a week at the longest if we were getting something from SoCal and it needed to get trucked up before you got your new car. So we can work pretty quick as long as you want to work pretty quick. If you don't want to work pretty quick, we can work at your pace.
Oh, so you're also able to get cars in 2 or 3 months, like ones that are ordered by dealers, right? Or do you only work
absolutely.
with
We special order cars. We can get cars that are on their way into a dealer and get your name on it. Now, I can't promise that we can do this pricing because this pricing is limited time. But yes, we can absolutely help you with all of that.
So, Doug,
I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, that's a good question. And the answer is that every EV is a little different. So that's something you'd want to look up on the specs of that car. Like what's the charging? You would think because a lot of plug-in hybrids have just don't have that many miles, 40 miles. You would think, oh, we could do that in 4 hours or something. But sometimes they take a little longer, it seems. So I would definitely check that out. I do know I have a Volkswagen e-Golf that I just plug in. It's not a plug-in hybrid, but I just plug it into the 120 outlet, the standard outlet, and I get about 5 miles an hour. So overnight I can get 40, 50 miles or so. So it may take a little longer, but yeah, I would definitely check that out. I
would say on a standard outlet, in my experience, that you could get about 20 to 25 miles in about 2.5 to 3 hours. So it depends on the battery and the kilowatt hours and the level 2 versus level 1 charging. I'm sorry, I meant 2.5 to 3 hours on a level 2 charger.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was going to say. Thank you, Ollie. That's a great piece of information right there. So 12 hours to fully charge on a 120 outlet or whatever. People used to say 110, now we're saying 120, and what I hear is that it's somewhere like 116 or 118 or so. But yeah, standard outlet. Yeah, whereas like for a fully electric car, you would get typically 25 to 30 miles an hour if you have a level 2 charger. So
I can tell you I've got the ID4 and I charge it at the local Electrify America station, which is free for 2 years, which is awesome. And it takes about 30 minutes to get my car from 20% to 80%.
That's great. Hey, do you, are there any other cars that are part of the discount campaign that come with any free charging at all, or?
That's a great question. I think the Ioniq does. Let me double check. It used to. I know when my brother got his, it came with 3 years free charging.
So Christine, yeah, level 1 and level 2 charging are two different ways that people charge at home. Level 1 is just plugging into a standard 120 volt outlet, and you can typically get about 40, 50 miles overnight, depending upon the model. And then level 2 is you're actually plugging into a 240 volt outlet. So what you do is you typically have an electrician wire a 240 volt outlet close to where you're going to park your car, if it's in a garage or in a driveway, whatever. And then you would buy a charging station and plug it into that 240 volt outlet. And you can buy a charging station, at a big box store. You can get one online. So lots of options there. So it's fast.
And Ioniq 5 and the Ioniq 6 are the same as what the Volkswagen has, which is 2 years of complimentary 30-minute charging sessions. So if I go 35 minutes, they charge me like $2 or whatever. But the first 30 minutes are free.
So this is a little bit of a briefer webinar than what we typically do. I will do a more robust webinar next week where I'll do a little deeper dive about charging. There's level 1, which is, they call it trickle charging, but really for most people in the Bay Area, it's enough because a typical person drives 25, 30 miles a day, and you can replenish that every day if you have access to a standard outlet. Yeah, so level 2 is great if you're driving more than like 50 miles a day. And then level 3 is great if you don't have charging at home. And you want to just go to the shopping center and, plug in for 20, 30 minutes and get a quick charge. That's a fast charge. Also for road trips, you want to, while you're on the road trip, you definitely want to use level 3 charging, really, really fast charging. Yeah, it goes between like 18 minutes to 30 minutes to go from 20 to 80%, which is typically what people recommend that you charge. Yeah, that's a really good point. So if you already have a dryer that's close by to where you would park your car, you can get something called a splitter. It's a safety splitter so that you can use that same outlet that you use for your dryer to charge your car. And it's really just a safety device to make sure you don't blow your circuit. You can also use that if you have 2 EVs.
Right. And the safety part is that you can't use both devices at the same time. So you can't use your dryer and charge your.
Yeah, they limit it so that you're using one or the other to.
On the website of Cartelligent, is there a feature where we can check 2 or 3 of the 5 vehicles and then choose certain parameters like trunk space, battery size, charger size, et cetera, just to compare very easily on the website?
Scott, do you have that on the Ride and Drive Clean site?
We actually have PG&E has a really good one. I don't know if you could look for that one, Scott. And
well, we have a vehicles page on our website that has some of that data, but it doesn't include like trunk space or charging speed. You'd probably have to go to the manufacturer website for that. Cartelligent.
Honestly, the easiest thing to do, don't go to the manufacturer website. You can't find it. Type it into Google. Just type trunk space and the car and put in the year. And Google will get the answer from the manufacturer's page way faster than you can do it.
Yeah, and I'll put a couple of links to some websites that actually have this feature if you want to have like side-by-side comparisons. I know the PG&E one is really good. What's the other one? Like not Plug Share, Plug Star also has a good feature where you can do a side-by-side comparison. I can throw those in there at the end once I stop sharing my screen. Okay, any more questions? Yes, 220 or 240, we're saying. Level 2 is somewhere between 220 and 240. Yeah, versus level 1 is 120. I don't typically put the chat in the, oh, thank you, Scott. I don't typically put the chat in the follow-up, but I will put in some important links, like the link to our, the discount campaign and some others. All right. I want to thank Cartelligent for coming and presenting, for offering all these great discounts. And if you want to stick around, great. I'm going to talk about incentives now for new EVs, pre-owned EVs, et cetera. But thanks.
I'll stick around for another like 10 minutes or so. And I can answer questions that come in the chat if there's any other questions that people think of. And I'll give you guys my email when I'm kicking off.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Okay. So although early EV drivers paid a high premium for EVs, today's EV drivers often save money, and here are a few reasons why. It costs much less to fuel an electric car. Fueling a gas car can be 2 to 5 times more expensive than fueling an EV, depending upon where and when you charge it. Electricity prices also tend to be more stable than gas cars, as we've seen than gas prices, as we've seen in the past few years. In addition, maintenance costs are 40% lower for EVs, not for plug-in hybrids, because plug-in hybrids have 2 systems. But for EVs, there's very little maintenance. It's basically adding windshield wiper fluid and rotating your tires. And then there are, these discount campaigns, and in addition, other incentives that are available that can help bring down the initial cost of purchasing an EV. There are currently 3 types of incentives that can help save you a lot of money when you get it, on certain EVs. There are additional grants and rebates that are available for both new and used car EVs for people who qualify through their income and their residence. So the federal tax credit, or the clean vehicle credit, has been updated for 2024. The good news is that it's now available as a rebate at point of sale, and you don't require tax liability to access this rebate. There are some requirements for the new EVs, but many qualify for either $3,750 or $7,500. Jessica talked a lot about great pricing on leases. So what happened with the federal tax credit is that really when you lease a car, it's the bank who owns the car. And so it counts as a commercial credit. And then the bank, through the dealership is able to pass that along through the dealer. They aren't required to, but they can. And that's why many of them do, to stay competitive. And then there's also a tax credit for $4,000 on pre-owned EVs. I'll go into a little more detail on that in the next few slides. Also, through your utility or CCA, with the CCA, you would be getting your bill from PG&E, but your CCA, like MCE or Peninsula Clean Energy, San Jose Clean Energy, AVA used to be East Bay Clean Energy. They procure the electricity, making sure it's cleaner and actually more affordable than PG&E electricity. So they have a great. So PG&E has great rebate, and your CCA and utility might have rebates. You do want to check in with your local CCA. I'm happy to answer the question if you're not really sure which CCA you belong to. And then there's this great EV discount campaign going on now through the end of July. The nice thing about these incentives is that they stack. So for some people in some parts of the Bay Area, you could save $22,000 on a new or pre-owned EV, depending upon your income and where you live. So if you're able to retire a 2007 and older car, depending upon where you live in the Bay Area, you could get between $10,000 and $12,000, a grant that you could apply to that, to your EV. That stacks with the federal tax credit. So if you choose one of those cars, a new car that has $7,500, that's you can stack that on top of the $10,000 to $12,000. And then if you get a pre-owned, there are a bunch of other rebates. Depending upon where you live, again, your CCAs and PG&E could offer additional discounts. This is the great place where I suggest people go is Drive Clean, California. It's the savings calculator at the bottom there. That's a great place where you can just go to and customize it, put in your household income, your zip code, and it will let you know exactly what you qualify for in terms of incentives. So a little bit more about the clean vehicle credit, which is the federal tax credit. Actually, before I start talking about this, I do want to emphasize that I'm not a tax expert, so I recommend that you verify this with an accountant or a professional to make sure the car that you're looking for, that you actually qualify for that. So I mentioned earlier, this clean vehicle credit is now available as an instant rebate. So it's cash on the hood when you buy an EV. Because there are, so there's no income, because there are some more requirements this year, fewer EVs currently qualify. The income limits are still in place. You do have to purchase your EV from a qualifying dealer or through Cartelligent. Make sure you receive a copy of the successfully submitted IRS seller report before you leave the dealership, as you have to submit this when you file your taxes. This goes for the pre-owned rebate as well. You'll need the seller's report. Okay, so in order to qualify for this clean vehicle credit, the EV must be purchased or financed to receive the credit. It must be assembled in North America. There are both vehicle price limits and income limits, as you can see. The income limit is on your modified adjusted gross income, the year it was delivered, or the prior year. EVs will also need to meet both this critical mineral and battery component requirements to qualify for the maximum available credit. It's broken up into two smaller credits, one for where they're sourcing critical minerals from, and one for where they're getting the battery components from. So that's why some of them qualify for 3750, and some qualify for both of these battery requirements and get the full 7500. Again, you want to make sure the dealership is signed up with the IRS so you can get that seller's report. And here's the list of the cars that qualify. Ooh, I meant to put a little star. I put a star here by the Volkswagen ID4. I meant to put one by the Audi Q5 plug-in hybrid, because that one also qualifies, but for 3750. So that's cash on the hood. And I've kept this website here at the bottom, thefueleconomy.gov. This is where they list all of the cars, the EVs that qualify, and this list has grown throughout the year. So, by the end of the year, there may be more EVs that qualify for the tax credit. But if you lease, you don't have to worry about this at all. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about the pre-owned credits. So this is the federal tax credit, the clean vehicle credit for pre-owned. So here's the credit amount. It's $4,000 up to $4,000, 30% of the sale price. It's a point of sale rebate, so you get that it gets applied to your down payment when you purchase your car at the dealership or through Cartelligent. Or sorry, not through Cartelligent, because Cartelligent only does new EVs. No tax liability required. The income caps are a little bit lower for a pre-owned EV. They're like half of the amount. Here's some more information about the EVs: $25,000 vehicle price cap. It has to be at least 2 years old. So if you're buying a 2024 model year, if we're in 2024, you have to buy a 2022 model year or older, and each vehicle can only use this credit once. I mean, it's pretty new, so it would be likely that it would still qualify, but you'll want to check on that for sure. And that's why it's important to get that IRS seller's report, because your dealer has to be registered with the IRS. And you're allowed this credit once every 3 years per person. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about the PG&E rebate, because many people in the Bay Area do qualify for this. If you buy a pre-owned EV, everybody who gets a bill from PG&E gets a $1,000 rebate. You apply for this after you register your car. It takes like a month or so before you can actually apply for this. And there's the rebate plus, depending on your income, but it has a pretty high income cap, so it's definitely worth exploring. Just a little more information here. Purchase or lease an EV or plug-in hybrid. Okay, so a little bit more about like next steps. So for more EV questions, attend a webinar. I have another webinar coming up. Gosh, I think it's the 16th. Tuesday the 16th, where I'm going to do a deeper dive into EVs. I'll showcase a bunch of EVs, including some pre-owned EVs and pricing for pre-owned EVs. I'll talk a little bit more about all of the incentives available, including our EV discount campaign. and I will talk about charging and what it's like to take a road trip, etc. So the next step, if you're ready to go electric, you'll want to test drive an EV, or maybe you have 2 or 3 EVs that you're considering. I think it's a great idea to go to one of those places that has lots of different dealerships on one street or in one area, so you can test drive a couple in the same outing. Sign up on the Ride and Drive Clean website, just so that you're getting these you get updates and newsletters. I think since you signed up for this webinar, you've probably already signed up for our newsletters. But if you want to learn about the events that we have going on, you can sign up here. We do have an EV show going on in Pittsburgh at the car show in Pittsburgh. That's coming up on Thursday, July 25th. We'll have like 3 EVs out there to take a look at, and some e-bikes as well. Summer season is a little bit slow for us. We have a lot of these car shows in the fall and spring season. Right. Okay. So
I have a question on the leasing versus purchasing. You mentioned early on that you could go for the lease and then get the $7,500 federal incentive, and then purchase the car in a few months, like buy out. Do you have to negotiate the purchase price at the time you sign the lease agreement with the dealer, or is that something you have to wait in a few months and then ask for a purchase price of the leased vehicle?
Ollie, do you have an answer for that? I'm not so familiar on like the buying and leasing side of things, but Ollie, since you work for Cartelligent, you might have a little better information.
Yes. Hi, Dan. The price of the car is set by the dealer for the end of lease. So you basically just need to pay the rest of the lease and that fee, but that can be negotiated. So you just give us a call and we'll figure that out. We have a lot of clients doing that at the moment to take advantage of the lease rebates without having to purchase the car. So it's a bit of a trick and a good idea if you're going to actually buy a car and keep it for a while. So I hope that helps.
Just to clarify, you said that at the end of the lease term, for example, if I go for a 3 years, 36-month lease, then there's a fixed price to purchase. That part I understand. But what about if I wanted to purchase it 3 months after the lease start? That is going to be renegotiated. Like I would need to initiate the process with the dealer, right, to buy the car earlier than the 36 months. Or
so Cartelligent can help you with that. What they do is it's a bit of a calculation. They calculate the value of the car. They have a depreciation calculation, so we can help you negotiate that. That's not something that you have to do on your own. We're happy to do that. But think of it as you're not paying your total lease cost over 3 years anymore. You're only paying the cost of financing the depreciation for a short period of time. So it would take a bit of time for me to explain it in detail, and happy to have a chat offline about that. But you can use us as a resource to help you with that. There's no big renegotiation you have to do. It's a numbers based thing. It's a calculation.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll follow up later. Do people usually 36 months, or do they request like a 6 month lease at the beginning of the lease term and get that full rebate?
36. Yeah. So most of them are 36 months. The ID4 has some really short leases, like a year or 2 years. But most leases are 3 years long.
Okay. Thank you. Annika, so if I don't have a older car, 2007 or earlier, it seems to me that the only incentive that would be available would be that 7,500 versus 3,750, depending on it's a foreign car or not, right?
It sort of depends on where you live, but yeah. So the list of cars that I showed before that qualify for the 7,500 for purchase. But yeah, so that's it depends on where you live. So if you live in the MCE service area, which is Marin, Contra Costa, Napa, and Solano counties, and your income qualifies, they also have a rebate for $3,500 that you can stack. So that's cash on the hood also. That's for a new EV.
Without a old car being a
Without an
condition.
old car, yeah. You just have to qualify by income.
Gotcha.
So
And then
that's why the savings calculator is really great, because it'll tell you exactly which ones, So I'm going to put that driveclean.california.gov.
and that PG&E thing or MCE, $1,000, $4,000, whatever. That's only for used cars, right? There's
That's for
no
pre-
PG&E for new
Well, the
cars.
MCE is for pre-owned and new. So it's $3,500 for a new EV if your income qualifies, and it's $2,000 for a pre-owned EV. But that can stack with the PG&E rebate that's only for pre-owned, and that could go up to $4,000 depending on your income. So there's 2,000 MCE, there's 4,000 if you're from PG&E, and then you can get an additional 4,000 from the federal tax credit. And those are all, well, the MCE and the federal tax credit, cash on the hood, 6,000. You apply for the PG&E one after the fact.
But that's only for MCE. If you need to live in the MCE.
Yeah, or PCE. It depends on where you live. So that's, I don't know where you live, but if you live on the peninsula, they also have a pre-owned rebate. A lot of different CCAs and small munis, like if you live in Palo Alto, I know City of Palo Alto Utilities is looking to do a pre-owned rebate as well.
Correct, but that's only for brand new EVs. That does not apply.
It's not in existence yet. So if you don't mind sharing, like what county you live in, or?
So I mean the Santa Clara County.
Oh, Santa Clara. So do you have Silicon Valley Clean Energy? Is that
Yes.
Yeah. So I think they're working on something actually. I am in touch with them, and I think they're working on something for pre-owned. These again have income caps.
Yeah. But they're only working on something used. If I were to buy a new,
just for pre-owned, yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Are there any additional cash benefits for Marin County? Yeah. So for Marin County, you have, if you are an MCE customer, you may not even know if you are, but you would check your PG&E bill, and there's like one line item that says like MCE electricity generation. Okay, you're in. So it depends on your income. So there are income qualifications, but $3,500 for a pre-owned. Oh, the calculator, I put it in right here. Drive Clean California. I'll put it in again. driveclean.california.gov. So MCE rebate, PG&E rebate for pre-owned, MCE for new and pre-owned, income qualifying, PG&E for pre-owned, $1,000 for everyone if you get a PG&E bill and you get a pre-owned, and up to $4,000. I think the income limit is about $100,000 per individual, and then you can get the federal tax credit. So I'm going to go actually to, let's see, to the discount campaign and just take a look, just to give you some examples here. So for the Audi, actually, okay, so the starting MSRP, the discount off MSRP is $3,500. That's the Cartelligent discount. In addition to that, there is a lease rebate for $7,500. So you can add, if you add those up, it's $11,000. For this particular car, if you purchase it, there's a federal tax credit. It's not listed at this point, but for $3,750. And so that stacks with the $3,500. The Hyundai Ioniq. Yeah, so there's a lease rebate for $12,000. Yeah, really great lease rebates, cash rebate, and a finance rebate for $7,500. So even though this car is not made in the United States, does not qualify for the clean vehicle credit, the dealer is giving this special finance rebate. So
for purchase or for leasing?
For purchase, for finance or cash, $7,500.
Gotcha. How about the RAV4?
And that's, sorry, in addition to that $7,500, there's the $2,000 discount that Cartelligent has negotiated for you. Yeah. The RAV4, there's a lease rebate for $6,500, and then the discount off of MSRP. So it's $7,500 in total. There's nothing I think you can get the discount off of MSRP, $1,000, if you purchase as well. From
So
Cartelligent.
the lease discount, why is it not 7,500?
Because it's a plug-in hybrid.
Oh, so the 7,500 is only for BEV, like pure EVs.
It's funny. I believe that it's 6,500 for plug-in hybrids, but then I'm looking here at the Audi, and this one is 7,500. It
Yes.
really depends on what the dealer wants to give you.
Got it.
Yeah. And then the Volkswagen, so it's the discount that you can get from Cartelligent is on however you purchase it is $2,500. So in addition, there's a lease rebate for 7,500. So that gets you 10,000. For the cash, if you pay cash, you can get 5,000. So that's 7,500. And then for the tax, because this one qualifies for the tax credit, 10,000. So 7,500 cash on the hood, as well as that discount that Cartelligent has negotiated for you. So $10,000 off. And that's pretty good because the starting MSRP is 39,000.
Yeah, so basically we already know what the final price will be today if we were to buy either the ID or the Audi or the RAV4, right? You just take the MSRP minus whatever, that little brown colored font numbers. We'll know the final price of the car.
Yeah, well, I think there are like taxes. Ollie, how does that work? There are like taxes and certain like fees that every car has. And no dealer lists those fees. Like nothing is included.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so when you buy a car outright, you pay sales tax on the total purchase plus title and dealer fees, which are pretty minimal. But the tax is California tax rate, so it's quite a lot. If you lease it, you pay tax on a monthly basis on your lease, so it's just kind of part of your payment. So that's on top of all of these. The MSRP, starting MSRP, is of the base trim for these models. So if you wanted certain features, certain trims, the MSRP could be higher, but our discount is off any version you get, regardless of the MSRP. We'll get you that discount and the rebates off of that. So if you end up wanting the Q5 plug-in hybrid, but you want the fully featured one with the full spec with all of the custom features, it's going to be higher than the 45, but it starts at 45.3. Hope that helps.
Yeah, it does. And for the lease program, will you disclose the interest rate of the lease, or what do you call it? There's another term, a something factor.
Yeah, the money factor. Yes, that's. I don't think that's set. I think that does fluctuate. But what we do is we will find the one with the lowest money factor in the spec that you want. Like, it's our job to basically get you the best price possible. So we can, when we're sharing maybe 3 different options of the car you want from different dealers around California, we'll share what the final lease price per month is going to be. And if you want to know the money factor and stuff, we can obviously share that too. Yeah. And that is something that the individual dealers specify.
So you will only shop cars in the state of California. You're not going to go to
Correct.
Texas, Florida, or other states.
No, only California. But luckily, like, there is a variation, not on here, but we do a lot of Volvos, and most of the Volvos we get are from Southern California, even if people are buying them from up in San Francisco, because for some reason the dealers down there are way more competitive and they have better prices. But because of this program, we've got these guaranteed discounts already set in place. It is possible that we find one that's even better priced, but these are very aggressive, so it's highly unlikely you'd be able to find a discount off MSRP at these levels if you went to any dealer on your own.
I mean, 95% of the time, I mean, sometimes at the end of the month, a dealer will do some crazy, crazy deal. It's happened, but from our experience, we've been working with Cartelligent for 4 years, and 98% of the time, you're getting a better deal with Cartelligent through these discount campaigns. They're amazing. I have a friend who actually in February, she bought a Volkswagen ID4. She went to the local dealership. She called me and she was like, it's President's Day. They're telling me I have to sign today to get this amazing pricing. And I was like, hang on. Sign up on our Ride and Drive Clean page for Cartelligent. So Cartelligent called her. She ended up getting a lease, a 3-year lease, and the month that with the same down payment, I think it was $2,500. We're comparing apples to apples here. She was paying $70 less a month through the Cartelligent deal, through the discount campaign. So, and then another friend got the same car like a month earlier, and she's like, I've got to tell you, I got the best deal on this car. She's paying like $150 more a month than what Cartelligent was offering. Because while I'm just going to say this straight up, like, we all tend to think that we're really good negotiators, but most of us are not. Like, I like to think, oh, I'm going to get the best deal. I can get in there. I'm really good at this. But this is what Cartelligent does. They negotiate deals all day long. So they are getting you amazing pricing. And for those of you who have ever used Cartelligent, I mean, it's like a zero hassle experience. You don't have to do any of the work. You basically tell them what you want. They find it for you. You agree. You know, if you want to go forward, you agree. If you don't want to, you move on. And, you know, a few days later, you show up at one of their locations locally here. They're in Walnut Creek, Sausalito, and Menlo Park. There's one dealership down in Irvine. If you're down in SoCal, you pick up your car there. They give you a little training on your car. You sign the paperwork there in a very pleasant environment, and then you're off. So it's a really great experience. Most people, like my brother has been with Cartelligent for 24 years, I believe. He will only buy through Cartelligent because it's such a great experience.
Yeah, sounds nice. By the way, your friends, what the $70, $110, those were lease terms or
Lease terms,
okay.
yeah.
I was just thinking maybe next time when you have a seminar, Anika, maybe just invite some of the former Cartelligent customers, like your friends, to be like to join our Zoom and then a testimonial, just say their experiences. I think that would be great.
Yeah, we do have some testimonials on our website that we capture testimonials all the time. So, and we want you to know that we are a nonprofit organization. Our mission really is to reduce carbon emissions and air pollution. So that's why we're in it. We don't have a preference of which EV you get. We just are trying to help people switch from driving gas cars to EVs. So Hal, I don't actually understand that question, but Ollie might. Is it possible to do mock sale on RAV4 with cash purchase with all savings?
So, Hel, are you asking like for a final price type of like mock calculation?
Yes, I was just hoping to get a number that will give me an idea if being a MCE customer, and I think the savings that's been advertised.
Yeah, I think it would take me a little bit of time to do it right now, and I think we're over time. But if you give us a call, one of our reps can definitely walk you through the process and just give you a kind of friendly assessed price. Like they might just quickly find a RAV4 that's on the market, put all the discounts in and figure it out for you. We're more than happy to do that just so you can see the pricing. But best thing to do is just give us a call or you can email me or Jessica. I'll put my email in the chat too, and we can have a chat tomorrow or something.
And the other thing about the MCE rebate is it is income qualifying, so everybody does not qualify. I don't know how much people at Cartelligent know about that rebate. That's where I can definitely help you on the MCE rebate. And you want to make sure that the dealer that is selling you the car is signed up for the MCE rebate.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. But rather than calling, here's an email, but rather than calling Cartelligent, we are going to ask you to sign up on our discount campaign page. And I'm going to drop that one last time in the chat. So please go to this website, fill out the information, hit submit, and then Cartelligent will, will call you. They'll reach out to you. Yeah, so we've gone a little past 6 o'clock. I just wanted to honor everybody's time. Thank everybody so much for coming. Do want to let you know we have another webinar coming up next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. I will also let you know that many people have attend multiple webinars, 2 or 3 or 4. It's a lot of information. It's new, EVs are new technology. So there are a lot of things to consider. Where are you going to charge? What's the pricing? How is this all going to work? And so, we welcome you to come back to as many webinars as you would like.